Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Celebrate TV Live. I'm your host, Peter Lee. With me today, as always, is the man who makes this all happen. He wears all the other hats around here. He's the director, producer, cameraman, and apparently he's also one of Santa's helpers. It's my husband, Phil Gordimer.
Welcome. Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from or on replay. And welcome to Let's Celebrate TV. Don't I look cute?
All right, we can get rid of the Santa hats because they're awfully hot. And yeah, that was cute and all, but there's a practical limit. So as always, we're going to start off with a cocktail because we're celebrating here at LCTV and it's Christmas time. We're having today my homemade eggnog. Now we'll have a link to that episode in the comments description. You guys know where to look. So this is my homemade eggnog. I made this yesterday. I didn't want to try and make it for you today because it takes a good 24 hours to let it chill. We're going to start with a little bit of rum. I like rum in my eggnog. You could have brandy, you can have any type of whiskey, a bourbon, whatever you like. You could leave it out altogether if you choose. But we're going to have just a little nip in our little glasses. Now you may think you might want this over ice, but that just waters it down. Here we go. Luscious and Christmassy. Excuse you. Grab a spoon and give that a little stir. Look at that, dear.
Should you be telling people
Should I be telling people what?
what's in this eggnog besides rum?
Well, there's egg yolks and cream and all kinds of good stuff. I don't remember the recipe off the top of my head. Dear, thank you for calling me out.
Put it in chat, and here it is for everybody.
There you go.
When you go there, you can find the exact recipe in the video description.
Now, this is a cooked eggnog. A lot of people get worried when they hear homemade. And there are some recipes out there that use raw eggs, but mine is cooked, so it's a little more custardy almost. Now, I'm going to dust this with fresh nutmeg. This is what nutmeg looks like. I don't know if you can see that.
Hold on, there we go.
There we go. That's a whole nutmeg. I have one I already started grating, so we'll use that. And really, once you switch to grating your own, you'll never go back to the pre-grated stuff. And it really isn't any more expensive than the regular. I find it actually cheaper in the long run because you keep it in a little airtight container like this, and it lasts for a long, long time. All right, would you like your drink, dear?
No, I'll come get it. It's easier to toast.
True. True that. Messy bear. All right, here we go. To you and to you.
I think they all think we're raging alcoholics because of all these drinks we're having at 12:30 in the afternoon.
I know, that's all right.
Ooh, that is good black rum.
Yeah.
What rum brand is that?
This is Kraken. So, Rich, RCB, if you're watching, you left this here. Thank you.
Yeah, we claimed it.
We're claiming it.
All right, before we get started, let's say hello to, let's get me on the screen here.
Yes, please.
All right, let's say hello to everybody who's in chat while I turn away to do this.
From Hank, good morning and happy holidays to everyone. Cold morning in Arizona with 33 degrees. We're already up to 46, looking for 55. By mid-afternoon, dry, no snow or rain.
It's just about 40 here.
Yeah. They're talking a possibility of snow later this week here. Hi, Joanne. Glad to see you. Glad you're here.
All right, and Hank likes my selection of Christmas music.
You worked hard on that.
I'm trying to make the bumper music a little less boring than it's been lately, so I have some time.
Well, you know, it's a week till Christmas, so that's good. Hello, everyone. Evening in Moscow, 7 degrees Celsius, -7. Wow. A little snowstorm. Happy holidays. Wow. That's awesome.
All right. Evidently, I look adorable in my hat. I don't think so, but okay.
Suzanne, the old family recipe had so much alcohol you didn't need to cook it. Well, you know what, Suzanne? This was my mother's original recipe, and I cut it down too. She called it Jamaican cream punch, was what her family called it, and it did have an entire fifth of rum in it, and you couldn't, especially, you know, like when I was a kid growing up, and she would make it like, oh, fire. So a little nip is fine. 65 degrees on Florida Space Coast. Nice.
And our friend Melissa.
Hi, Melissa. Good afternoon. Snowy. 26 degrees, beautifully white. Wow, I'm jealous. Alrighty, so today we're talking all about Christmas traditions, the fun, the funky, the silly, the crazy, the warm and fuzzy traditional ones that you just love. We're talking all about that. So we're going to start off with, I'm going to do a little cooking for you, sort of. One of my family's traditions, I'm going to make my shortbread recipe, my traditional shortbread recipe. Now, here's the funny thing. Phil's looking at me like, really? We call this traditional Scottish shortbread. And in my family, which is from Scotland, it is. Making it this way is our tradition. But we get so many comments, especially this time of year, like, you know, oh my God, you have to use caster sugar, not confectioners, and no, you don't know what you're doing, you need rice flour, and just, it's, sometimes they've been, this year especially, they've been a little nasty. We've had to remove a few because they've been just unnecessarily and surprising that, like, you know, this has been around for 5 years now, and you're coming at me with that. Wow.
Now, that being said, it is our most popular video, even though it's an older video. And we are only a few days away from our first video of 100,000 views.
And that's the one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But what's also nice about it is our other fans will quite often, when those little negative Nellies comes in and starts getting nasty, a lot of times people will defend me and jump on them too. But it is always funny when I like, why do you have to be like that? This is how we do it. That's all. It's our tradition. So that being said, let's get started. First thing I did was I preheated my oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 165 Celsius? No, yeah, 165 Celsius.
And you don't have to try to remember this. In the show notes below is the link to the episode and the description. So if we skip something here, go watch the video.
Now I'm going to be using my beloved earthenware shortbread mold. And I actually used it this morning because it's that time of year and I have a lot of shortbreads to make. So the way you prepare these pans is just spray it with a little cooking spray. Just like this. Simple. Now I always do that first. Why do I do it first? Because so many times I have forgotten to do that. Whether it be a cake pan or the shortbread mold or whatever, I forget to spray it and I put the stuff in and I put it in the oven and then go, crap. So you do it first, and you set it aside, and you're done. Kimmy, yes, Scottish for life. Thank you. Yes. So you don't have to have one of those molds. You can do it in any type of pan. You just might want to adjust your baking time. Just watch it a little bit. A metal pan is going to bake a little differently than an earthenware mold. All right, I've got a nice big bowl here, and I've got butter. 2 sticks, which is about 225 grams of real butter, not margarine, real butter, please. Can be salted or unsalted, that's up to you. This is softened. I've let this set out overnight, and you can just push your finger into it like that without much resistance. That's what you want. If it is softer than that, it's gonna not combine well with the flour, it'll get all gloppy. If it's harder than that, it's going to take more work to combine it with the flour, and then you have a chance of developing the glutens too much, and it might be a little tougher. So getting it to this perfect softened spot is where you want it to be. All right, speaking of flour, here's mine, just all-purpose flour, bleached, unbleached, doesn't matter. This is 2 cups, around 270 grams, right in. Now here's the controversy. I'm using confectioner's sugar. I have 3/4 of a cup, which today it weighed out to be about 115 grams. Why am I using confectioner's sugar instead of castor sugar? 2 reasons. This will make it a very tender shortbread because it will mix in with the flour and the butter a lot more easier, a lot smoother, and you just get a better consistency, I think. The other reason is, and this is why I don't use rice flour, confectioner's sugar has cornstarch in it. When you add the rice flour, it's kind of like a stabilizing agent. It lightens it up a bit. The cornstarch does the same thing, and it's already in there. Final ingredient is just a pinch of salt, because I'm using salted butter, so just a small pinch. I know the butter I'm using, I know how salty it is, so I know how much to add. If you're using unsalted butter, I would put about 1/8 of a teaspoon, or a big pinch, really. The salt, and here's something else that people have complained about. Why are you putting salt in it? Blah, blah, blah. Salt in sweet things is usually necessary. It balances out the sweetness. It helps round out the flavor. You don't need a lot, just a little pinch. But bakers, real bakers know, they always put salt even in their sweet applications. Now I'm going to channel my mother. I'm going to mix this here with just one hand.
If you're channeling your mother, then you would have a martini in the other hand.
Yeah. And a Pall Mall Gold 100 smoldering in the ashtray next to me. But I don't smoke, so sorry, Mom. I've got eggnog instead of a martini. That will work. So I'm just going to bring this together with my hands. Just be patient with it. It's kind of fun. Now, you could do this with your stand mixer. You could do this in a food processor. I've done it. I find this way better. You don't really save any time, and then you have the machine to clean up. Plus, that could, again, develop the gluten a little more, and you'll have a tougher shortbread. Yes, tell us your holiday traditions, good, bad, or ugly. So this is one of ours. We would make these. My mother would make them all the time. And I remember the first time I had shortbread, we got a package from my grandfather, who was from Scotland, and they lived in New York at that point, but they sent this package down. And there was probably 4 or 5, and all these sweets and things in it. And there was one, I said, what's that? And my mother said, oh, that's Scottish shortbread. What's Scottish shortbread? So she gave me a piece, and wow, a love affair was born. All right.
And we're carrying on the tradition because our son Kevin now makes Scottish shortbread.
Yes.
So,
yes.
It's just a weird
My
way.
mother would be very proud. So, I think I made my first shortbread when I was probably around 14. She finally let me help her in the kitchen. So, I'm 54. So what's that, 40 years? So just be patient with this. This butter is coming together nicely. And you think, you get worried, you think, oh, it's never going to come together. Then all of a sudden, just like this, you get a dough. And it's a nice workout for your hands. It would go faster if I used 2 hands, but then I have 2 dirty hands, and 1 hand is better. All right, get back in there. Nearly there. All right.
And we need some stage music, you know.
So you see, it's just all come together. Just that fast. Now, you know, dear, had we been thinking, we should have had a picture of my mother to put up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
We should have had a martini, too.
Bars, right over there. All right,
Well,
so
someone's got to push the buttons to make the show go.
I know. So here's our dough. Came together just that fast. Now back to my shortbread mold. Here's a great thing. You don't have to let this rest or anything. I'm just going to put it in the mold right now. I kind of flatten a little bit. Just right in the center. And you just push it in with your hand. Now I know there are people out there who would use the bottom of a measuring cup to make it all pretty and smooth, but this is going to be the bottom side, so it doesn't matter. Plus, I find with using my hands, I can feel where it's thicker in one space and thinner in the other, and I can smush it around a little more. And this just also helps get it in all those nooks and crannies. Alrighty, now this is ready for the oven. Here we are. I will pop this in the oven a little later because through the magic of Christmas, I happen to have one already made. See that? How pretty is that? And this is where you want it to go. I would bake that off at 325, 165 Celsius for about 30 minutes. It could take longer depending on your oven. Sorry, itchy nose. Depending on your oven, depending on the pan you use. But in mine, about 30 minutes is good. That's when you should start checking it. What you're looking for is a pale gold like this, maybe a tiny bit darker on the edge, but you want an even pale color like this. You don't want it to be dark golden brown, but golden like this. And you can tell, especially after you make them a few times, you can tell when they might need another couple minutes in the oven. Now, how do you cut this? I cut them right along the wedges, the lines, and then I cut each one in half. So we have some that are small like that. And then if it's just me and Phil, well, you know, we have full-size pieces because oink. But generally I cut them all into these smaller pieces. Would you like a piece of shortbread, dear?
Well, that would be nice. Yes, please.
It is Christmas.
Okay, you can come to me this time.
And I'm using my Christmas spode. Carol Merrill. All right, I'm going to do portion control, dear, and we're each getting a small piece.
All right. Our Facebook people have come alive. Thank you.
Very good. Just a moment. Let me
Hold on.
this.
Yep.
Here you go, mon petite.
Yay.
Oop, you dropped your nappy. There you go.
exit stage left.
All right.
Oops. Our graphics went away automatically because we took too long. Let's try that again.
Let's try it again. Do you host Christmas or are you a traveler from Kristen? Well, it varies. We don't travel far when we do. A lot of times we host, but sometimes like this year we're going to have Christmas with our oldest daughter and her family. And they only live, what, 15, 20 minutes away, dear? But we don't travel like across country or anything. We either host or we share it with our kids. Nothing too crazy. All right, let me have a bite of shortbread because that makes it Christmas time.
Yeah, we actually don't host not a lot because we don't. We are big party people all the time, but we're trying to get our older kids and grandkids to develop their own traditions. And I kind of cringe because I had to do it when I was younger.
Yeah.
That for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, you have to go to 14 different people and play the holiday shuffle.
Yeah.
And by the time the holiday's over, you're exhausted. So our oldest daughter and grandsons and our middle daughter and son are starting to develop their own traditions at home, have people come to them.
And a lot of times, especially with our oldest grandchildren, we purposely wait. Let them have Christmas on their own because their other side of their family on their father's side is huge. They've got all kinds of cousins and aunts and uncles. You guys have it all. And then we'll have Christmas here after the fact, and we'll fill in the gaps. And sometimes, well, that gives us a chance to really spoil them.
Yeah, we become the heroes because we find out all the things they wanted but didn't get. So.
Yeah. Yes. So, holiday traditions.
Oh, speak of the devil.
What? From Kevin, maybe I'll make a shortbread and bring to Christmas at Michelle's. Sure. And Kevin, we have to figure out when we're doing Christmas with you guys, too. Hank, it was always cold and primarily snowy Christmas Eve night in Colorado at the family get-together, so we always had Tom and Jerry's. Close out the night after a standing rib dinner. Tom and Jerry's, is that a...
I don't know, is that an ice cream place? That's what it sounds like to me.
Oh, could be. I know Tom and Jerry, the cartoon. Now, see, that's a good point, Christmas Eve. In my family, we didn't do much for Christmas Eve because there were so many kids. It was more like feed the kids, have them, if there's a Christmas special on, have them watch, and then get them off to bed because there was a lot to do. And, you know, when you have a bunch of kids on Christmas Eve, they're all vibrating and bouncing off the walls, and yeah.
All right, so evidently Kevin says Christmas Day because he's probably going to be at Michelle's. Which is where we're going.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that works. All right, from Bailey, when do you start your shopping? Well, it varies for me year to year. This year I started like, what, August, I think? I bought the first present. There have been years where the way the paychecks fell, it was Christmas Eve and I was out with the MasterCard frantically. But most years...
AKA that's where we were today, in the mall.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
So that was good for us a week before we were wrapping things up. Although I still have some to do for a certain someone because I can never get out on my own. So maybe I'll have a sick day at work this week. Yeah, so it varies year to year for us. I never figured out when my mom did her Christmas shopping because she worked full time and on the weekends she was taking care of us. And I was like, how? You don't go out at night? How do you do it? But she did. When do you put up and decorate your tree from Earl? Well, our tradition, even though Phil says we don't have any, our tradition is that we put the tree up on Thanksgiving Day. When I was growing up, we only put the tree up around the 15th. My mother's birthday was December 15th. And she shared that with her youngest brother, which is kind of fun. They were 16 years apart. So it was a special weekend, and whatever the weekend closest that day was when we would do it. But I could never wait, so when I was first out on my own, I started getting them earlier and earlier, and then Phil and I finally, when we got together, we said, why are we waiting for? If we want our tree up, we're going to put the blankety-blank tree up and enjoy it. So that's what we do.
And last year was kind of fun because we had the grandkids for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we had all the family over
So
for
the
Thanksgiving.
teenage grandkids put the 3 and 4-year-old grandkids on their shoulder and decorated the tree. It was a warm and fuzzy moment.
Yeah, this year it was us, but that's all right.
And 5 cats.
And 5 cats. Now, I have a friend growing up. Their mother was widowed when they were both little, he and his sister. I think we were like in 1st or 2nd grade when they lost their dad. So she raised 2 kids all on her own, but their tradition was Santa would put up the tree Christmas Eve. And I didn't know that. And I went over, I think we had some church thing, like, you know, kids choir or something. And then I happened to go over their house afterwards, you know, for hot cocoa or something. And I was like, where's your Christmas tree and your decorations? And he and his sister were like, what do you mean? Santa puts up the tree. Oh, not in our house. So here, his mom, all by herself, get the kids off to bed, and then she would put up the tree, decorate the whole house, get all the gifts out, stockings, everything. And then they would come down Christmas morning, and it was like a miracle to them. I really give her the most credit ever because I can't imagine doing that. But that's a great tradition that they always had. And even when they were older, when they were in high school, you know, their mom insisted. And they're like, Mom, we know it's you. We could help. And they're like, no, it's not me. It's Santa. Get to bed. So, fun stuff.
We have someone new.
What?
New Jersey Fishing Maniac.
Well, welcome to Let's Celebrate TV. I have 4 cats. Excellent.
Yeah, we had 4 cats until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. We keep saying, no more cats, no more cats. And then, you know, cats show up. And they're like, I live here now. I bond with my mom on the holiday. We go shopping together for the ugliest sweater. I have every one of them since I was a child. I am 30 now. That's nice. That's a nice tradition to have. That's fun. I used to go shopping with my mother when I was grown, clearly, and was a driver. I would take my mom out so she could shop for my dad. Then I would take my dad out so he could shop for my mom. The best thing was we would always make a day out of it, and they would buy me lunch and you know, spoil me. So I was like, sure.
Oh, Mabel's in.
Mabel.
Mabel's in.
Maple syrup, Mabel? Hello, Matthew. Good to see you, honey. Yes, moms are the magic of Christmas. Yes, they are.
And we heard you had a good show yesterday.
Yes.
All right. Let me get back to my Facebook friends here.
All right.
I'm switching between screens.
Okay, real tree or artificial? Well, so we always used to do a real tree. When I was growing up, we always had real trees. My mother would always say, I want an artificial tree, and the rest of us would just be like, nope. So they had a weird thing. There's a place not too far from where we live now in little town of Sewell, Ledden's Garden Center. And we would get our tree there every single year. But every year my mom would say, let's go here, let's try there. And we would take a Saturday afternoon and we would just traipse all over the county looking at every stinking Christmas tree in every parking lot and everywhere else. And we'd always end up back at Ledden's. And my dad would say, why don't we just go there? Well, we should look somewhere else. We might get a better deal. And then we'd end up back at Ledden's. So the first year Phil and I were together, we went to Ledden's because I said, this is where I always get them. They never go bad. They're great trees. Wow, were they expensive that year?
$200,
yeah.
I think.
Now at that point, no, it was only like $65, but for us in those days, that was a lot of money. And by then, my mother had finally gotten her artificial tree. Now Phil and I, when we first moved to this house, there is a Christmas tree farm literally straight down the road about a mile, Exley's Tree Farm. And the first few years we were here, we would go down and tag a tree and make a big deal out of it because you can decorate it like with ribbons and stuff. And we would take champagne. And one time I stepped in a hole and
it was kind of fun because we'd be walking through the aisles, drinking champagne with garland around our shoulder and going, does it look good on this tree?
Yeah.
Or would it look better on this tree?
Yeah. And then a couple years ago, I don't even remember why. At one point, we had both real and artificial. In the old house, we would have a real tree in the one room and an artificial tree in the foyer. But here, we've always had live trees until, what, last year? Year before last?
Last year.
Many times my dad would work Christmas Eve and bring the tree home then. Oh, that's nice, Joanne. Yeah. A lot of people do that.
Matthew, you're late to the game.
Do I hear a cocktail being shaken? We had my homemade eggnog with a little touch of rum.
Hold on. I'll try to
There we go. Yeah. I'm getting my...
RCB's rum, to be specific.
Yes. So cheers, Matthew. I wonder why I put my tray up a week after Thanksgiving. Well, why not? I mean, you know, really, when you do it early like that, it's one less thing to worry about as Christmas gets closer, right? Because we're all frantically planning parties and wrapping and going here, going there, and why have to worry about the tree? It's already there, and it sets the tone. Tinsel or garland from aging? Well, we don't use either because of said 5 felines. We've tried over the years with the tinsely garland or some of the other kinds, and it's just one more invitation. So we just double up on ornaments and keep it that way, keep it simple. Cheers to you, Matthew.
Oops, hit the button right.
Oops, don't. Does anyone still do stocking stuffers? Yes. So when I was growing up, stockings were the big thing in our little family, our whole tradition about them. So we didn't have a fireplace, and we had this weird little room off the living room that we called a foyer, but it really wasn't, or a foyer. It was, at one point our house was 2 apartments, and it was just one of the rooms, and that's where the stairs were. But there was a doorway, a big doorway between the living room and this little foyer room. So we would hang our stockings up around that doorway. Now, my parents, especially my mom, she had a little evil streak in her. That's where I get it from. So we're good little kids. We hang up our stockings Christmas Eve and we all go to bed. And in our family, once we were allowed to come downstairs, the first thing we were allowed to do was have a free-for-all on our stockings. So, you know, we would get up and we'd wake up our parents, and then they would go down. We would have to stay up on the top landing where we couldn't see. That was, you know, they could turn on the lights and make the coffee and make sure everything was ready. And it would seem, it was probably 10 minutes, but it was like an hour for us. So one year we came running downstairs to get our stockings, and they were gone. And my mom said, "Oh, you kids must have been really bad because Santa took your stockings." And we were all like horrified, like, "Oh." And before any of us started to like cry, she started laughing. She said, "Well, I think that they were just too heavy, so the little tacks couldn't hold them up, but they're here in the living room." And we had at the time one of those little house organs, not that everyone ever played it, but it was the thing to have in those days. And they were just so overstuffed, so she put them like under the organ where the pedals were, and so we were all relieved about that. But yeah, and for stocking stuffers, I wonder if people still have traditions about what goes in them. We had certain things my mother would always do. You got an orange because in the olden days, getting something like that was a very rare treat, especially at Christmas, getting citrus. We would get an apple for the same reason. You know, having that would be, you know, like in the 1800s and in Europe and things, having those things in the winter was just a rare, wonderful thing. She would put in a few walnuts because that was signify good luck. We would get Hanukkah gelt, of all things, again, to bring luck for riches and things. And then she would put all kinds of silly, little, stupid presents. You know, you might get one of those lifesaver books that had all the rolls of lifesavers, or some chapsticks, and then silly. She would find those little nifty things. And I think she would probably just shop for them year round and pick stuff up just all year round. So
okay. I know the answer. I know the answer to this one. I want to see
you have
if
a favorite
you
Christmas
say it.
Eve treat. Do I have a favorite Christmas Eve treat? I don't know, dear. What's my answer?
You were searching for them yesterday in the store.
Oh, yes. It's not necessarily Christmas Eve, but yes. So one of the traditions that we had growing up that we'd get in our stockings was a can of kippers, little kipper herrings. And so, yes, that is my favorite Christmas treat. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, absolutely. That little can of kippers. And Phil thinks they're gross, but we love them in my family.
This is fun.
Yeah. I'm from the South. There's a tradition to light a bonfire to help Santa find your house. Wow, I've never heard of that. That's interesting. Why not just lights and things, but a bonfire? Do you think our HOA would allow that deer this year?
Our camping people would be doing that. They'd be lighting one at every campsite going, Santa, bring me some more Fireball.
Really? Yeah, so Joe Brennan, if you're watching, or any of our Canvas Camper friends, absolutely. From Barbecue Bill, my family's from San Francisco. We would watch the parade of boats all decked out with Christmas lights. That's nice. That's a nice thing to do. I don't know if they do anything like that here in Philadelphia area. That would be fun.
All right, so the people in Facebook chat are doing much better than the people in YouTube chat. Just saying, what's your traditions? Oh, here's one that can die.
What? Fruitcake, anyone? Well, you know, I like a good fruitcake. I don't like the pre-made store-bought ones.
Oh, I love the emoji. I just saw that.
Yes. Ew. You know, the ones that come in a little brick like that, and they're just sticky and oversweet. And I like a good homemade fruitcake. We did one in 2019 that was primarily made with nuts. And it was very, very good. What were those nuts? Brazil nuts.
All right, so usually around this time, I do our special about we feature small YouTube channels. We are going to forego that for today because, again, with everyone going away for the holidays, we're not sure who's watching. And most of the Christmas small YouTube channels, including us, are taking the holidays off. So we will continue that when we restart our live streams on January 8th at our new time of 3:30, and we'll talk about that a little later.
Yep. So, New Year's special. I work for a bakery. There's so much stuff better than fruitcake. No, and that's true. There's a lot of good things out there. They really are. I don't know. Probably should research that maybe for next year. Where did that whole fruitcake tradition come from? I know it was a way to preserve the fruit and make this hearty thing, but how it's become gross in the modern American world, I don't know.
I think at some point we made one.
Yeah, I just said that. We did an episode in 2019. Remember, from Ken Ward's mom? It was made primarily from the Brazil nuts.
The nut roll.
The nut cake. It was made with Brazil nuts.
Oh, it must not have been a very popular episode, just saying.
I think it was. I think it did better than we thought it did. But it's a delicious cake. Anyway, it's not a sweet, icky cake like fruitcake is. I love bundling up on the sidewalk and watching parades. Philadelphia Mummers Parade is great. Yes. Yes. For New Year's Day, watching the Mummers. For those of you in the UK or other parts of the world, Philadelphia has this pretty unique thing called the Mummers. And they do this big parade, and they wear all kinds of costumes, and there's string bands. There's the string bands and the comics and the fancy brigades, and it's just, they go all out. They do skits and sketches, and they're all playing instruments. And they start, like, the parade ends on whatever time it ends, and then the very next day they all meet in their clubhouses and start planning for next year.
And for most of our family who grew up in the marching band tradition, we look at that and go, no, please, it's not me. Thank you, thank you.
But, you know, they all wear these great big things on their backs with feathers and plumes and sparkly things, and they have all kinds of crazy costumes and stuff. And it's interesting, it used to be only men, and then sometime I think in the 70s or early 80s they started allowing women and people of color into it too. And
this year it's being led by drag queens.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're the...
Awesome. Well, that makes sense. So what was that one? Am I the only crazy one who...
Hold on, here we go. You went away too quick.
Oh. Am I the only crazy one that gets Christmas gifts from my dog and cat? No. We spent a little chunk of change yesterday on our cats. So no, you're not crazy at all.
Ooh.
What?
I can't imagine making 10 pounds
James
of fruitcake.
Beard's American Cookery has fruitcake recipe makes about 10 pounds of fruitcake. Wow. I'll have to look at my James Beard cookbook if there's a fruitcake recipe in there.
I wonder if ATK did one.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure.
Okay, now this one we saw at Thanksgiving, but it's very appropriate for now.
My mother finds old pictures of us as kids and uses them as place cards at the holiday table. Yeah, that's fun. Maybe we should do that for our Christmas Eve dinner. I mean, so far it's only Cliff and Alan coming over. I don't know if anyone else will be joining us, and there's still plenty of time for people to say, we're joining you, but
Ooh, I just thought of a great way to make our kids cringe.
Snowmen?
No. I should go back to the marching band competitions in Scranton and pull one from each of the kids.
Yeah, but what about Kevin?
Kevin was in those.
Was he? Because the marching band, by the time he got there, it had gone from this to this. So I don't know.
He was still there.
How. All right, well, can you get him online?
I have the...
We were way out of it by the time Kevin came along. We stopped after Jennifer. We really weren't involved that much when Kevin was there.
All right, this one is akin to you because I know about this.
My family takes gift wrapping to a new level. It is fun watching them work for 15 minutes for a gift certificate. It is an experience. Well, and my mother was really good at that too. And I asked her once when I was older, probably when I was in my 20s, and she was still going through all this mess. So, and she gave me a really good reason. Christmas Day, after we had our free-for-all with our stockings, we had to all sit, calm down, and relax. And then my dad would hand out one present at a time. And the rest of us had to watch that person open their present. And that was a way to make it all last longer and build anticipation and build memories. But one of the things my mom did was every package had a ribbon and a bow, and it was wrapped meticulously. And because she didn't want us just ripping through it in 5 seconds, she wanted us to have to work for it. So that was a great way. And I do that too still. I mean, Phil hates it because he's like, why are there 4 colors of ribbon? And you've tied all these knots and there's frills. And it's like, I want you to have fun opening it.
Yeah, but see, I can't Christmas wrap, so I just hate it.
I don't care. You have to wrap the presents.
All right, so we've rubbed off on Kevin. He's building his own
we will
tradition.
not be there Christmas Eve. That is just time for our little family home. I wasn't inviting you, but thank you. No, Kevin, you should have a little family tradition at home. You absolutely should. Absolutely. And we would not impede on that or anything. Because we want you guys to have your little traditions. All right, what do you have for dinner? Turkey, prime rib, goose, ham, lamb. Good question. A lot of people like lasagna. We generally have prime rib or a standing rib roast. Once in a while growing up, my mother would get a ham, but that was usually saved for Easter. We would do either ham or lamb for Easter, but Christmas was usually a rib roast for us.
Yeah, so we're doing one for Christmas Eve, and then I would assume at our older daughter's house that she'll be doing turkey. So the kids are big turkey.
I don't know.
If we have our choice, we do lamb for just about everything, but
yeah, but we like
lamb
a nice,
is not popular when you're having guests over.
We like a nice rib roast too. Now, what about Christmas breakfast? A lot of families, like our old neighbors, she would just make a tin of cinnamon rolls, the pop and fresh kinds. Mom used to use a whole roll of tape per present was how to open. Well, yeah, that's okay. You can do it without that much, but she had the right idea. You had to work for it, and it gave you memories, right? Oop.
That or nightmares.
Or nightmares. Well, whatever.
Oops. Sorry, wrong button. Try this one.
Wrong button. Secret Santa or gifts for everyone? In my family, even though there were 5 kids, and then as we grew older, there were spouses and grandkids and things, we did gifts for everyone. We didn't do the Secret Santa.
Okay, we have an explanation now from Hank. Tom and Jerry was a drink, not a location. I thought.
Batter or butter? Tom and Jerry, hot water, 1 dark rum, ounce dark rum, ounce cognac with grated nutmeg garnish. Oh, batters, eggs, sugar, and butter mixture. Huh. That's interesting.
Maybe we should stop by Steve and Joanne sometime this week. Look.
For breakfast, if I'm not baking holiday bread, we open a panettone or stollen. Okay. So we had what probably the people here in America are going to think is a weird, disgusting tradition. But remembering that my mother is Scottish to the nth degree, we would have Finn and Hattie for breakfast. And, like in the UK, they have kippers, kippered herrings. And whenever I would say that growing up, or even now to people, they go, "What's Finn and Hattie?" It's smoked haddock. It's fish. And she would poach it in milk with a little butter and milk and pepper because it's already salty. And we would have that with scrambled eggs and potatoes or toast or whatever else. A lot of people go, "Oh, fish for breakfast?" It's delicious. We'd have it once a year because it was a little expensive and hard to find. I made it one year for Phil. He didn't care for it, but he doesn't like kippers either. So that's all right. Christmas breakfast, yummy. Yeah, and people have weird traditions. Like our neighbors, they would just have, a couple Poppin' Fresh tins of cinnamon buns, and that was their Christmas breakfast. Some people do go all out. My breakfast strata is our favorite Christmas morning tradition. That's excellent, Matthew. Yeah, stratas are a great way to do because you can assemble them the night before, and then they're so much better the Christmas morning. You pop them in the oven, and it's all done. But yeah, Christmas breakfast was a big thing. Has your new cat settled in, Courtney? Yeah, he's getting there. We have 3 of the 4 other boys are getting there. They're okay with it. We have one who is being a little bit of
We're talking about Grumpy or Preston?
Preston. He's being a challenge, and I think it's because he wants to play, and he's a very aggressive player. And he'll go kind of like trotting up, and his tail's up, and he's chirping and meowing, and he's like, hi, I'm Preston. But it upsets the new cat a little bit. It's a little aggressive for him. So they're still working out, but he's getting there. Sounds like a lot bacala cod that Italians make, but not me. Yeah, it could be similar. It's smoky too because it's smoked. But it is like that, Joanne. It's not dry though, like bacala is. It's just smoked. Pork roll and kibasi from Philly. Yes, Kim. That's a great thing. And kibasi for breakfast is actually a pretty common thing. So what about, we saw that already, dear. There's a question of, do you do Christmas Eve dinners or Christmas Day dinners? When we were growing up, like I said earlier, Christmas Eve was, we had something simple. Oh, there you go. Do you celebrate Christmas Eve with a big dinner? As a grown-up, I've hosted more Christmas Eve dinners than ever we did when I was growing up, when I was a kid. So like this year, we're having our friends Cliff and Alan over for Christmas Eve dinner. One year we did the Feast of the Seven Fishes, just to say that we did it. This year we're doing a rib roast and a few other things. But a lot of times people keep Christmas Eve simple. And a lot of times they're dashing off to church. They have to, get home from work and then dash off to church. And so Christmas Eve dinners are not that big of a deal, at least not for the people we know. I know there are those out there that do.
Ooh, a lot more Christmas breakfast ideas.
Yeah? Cinnamon bread pudding. Yes, that would make Philip very happy.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
And I like Hank's logic too.
Breakfast, hatch green chili quiche with fresh fruit. That's nice. A nice quiche. Yeah.
That sounds like
Because again, you could assemble that the night before.
That sounds like an episode to me.
We can do that. Well, we've done quiche, a couple quiches. We can keep going. My dad was cruel. He made us do a scavenger hunt for our presents. That's nice. Well, we also saw our parents were cruel too. Like I said, we'd have to sit upstairs and wait until they called us down. And then we'd have to sit and I'm tired of seeing Heather open her presents. I want my present. I'm next in line. Come on.
Yeah, but you didn't do the, hold on, let me get me here.
Didn't do what?
You didn't do the thing where you sat on the floor and you had to put the hat on and you gave out the next gift. And then the next person had to put the hat on and give out the next gift.
No, we didn't do that.
Oh,
no.
Good, thank God.
No, it was always my dad's job. When do you open gifts, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? Jolene. Christmas Day. My mother never let us open Christmas Eves. One tradition I know people do is they have that one Christmas Eve gift, and it's usually, like pajamas and a movie or something. But no, it was always Christmas Day. I don't think my mother ever let us open a present Christmas Eve. We would beg, we would plead. No. And I'm glad, because that way it made Christmas all the more special. All right, from Amy, when do you take down the tree?
But wait, before you answer, I know what you would say, but I know what you're going to do.
I don't understand. What
When are you going to take
that?
down the tree? You would say, I'm going to take it down at 12:01 on Christmas Day.
No, I wouldn't. Well, why don't you wait till hear what I'm going to say, Mr. Know-It-All.
Oh.
Really? 22 years? When we were growing up, New Year's Day was the day my mother always took down the tree. And that was kind of her thing, because she was very particular about how the ornaments had to get packed away. And they were all glass in those days. And that was her way of relaxing, too, because she'd have the mummers parade, and she would just sit there and lovingly pack each one, and then my dad or one of her boys would have to take the tree out. So that's usually when we do it, too, is New Year's Day. Depending, like this year we're going to be away for New Year's weekend, but usually around New Year's. We're not one of those people that leave it up all year round, except for this thing. Elf on the Shelf. You know what, Matt? I for years I keep saying, oh, I'm going to get an Elf on the Shelf. Or I'll get the Ghoul on the Stool for Halloween. I still haven't done it yet.
The cow on the plow.
Yeah.
I think Kevin does that with Emily.
I'm sure they do.
Sure.
We don't have any little kids.
Dan's got a good comment here.
Oh, there's another tradition. I leave a shot of whiskey for Santa. What do you leave him? Yeah, what do you all leave Santa? When I was growing up, I always left him a hot pastrami sandwich with spicy brown mustard and an ice cold beer, because that's what my dad said Santa would like. And every year that sandwich was gone and the beer was gone, and I got a lot of presents. So I'm not going to fix what's not broken. Which reminds me, I got to tell the A girl over there to put pastrami. Alexa, put pastrami on the shopping list.
Pastrami added to your shopping list.
Thank you. I mean, why take chances?
Uh-oh. Here's one.
Any New Year's resolutions?
Blah, blah,
Well,
blah. Yeah, we're all going to lose weight. We're all going to eat better. And we're all going to go to the gym.
I was going to say, I'm just going to keep being the fabulous me that I am.
Wow. If that eye roll was any bigger, it'd go behind your head.
Well, why not? Yeah, no, New Year's isn't a big deal for us. Last year, our friends Lance and Ken came down and we spent a nice weekend together. So this year, we're going out to Long Island to visit them for New Year's.
Yeah, add that and...
Going to all the wineries.
Because, you know, we don't spend enough money on wine. We've got wine pickups at about 4 of our wineries.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very expensive weekend.
Well, our pickups are all paid for, dear. It's that we get extras because we can't help ourselves.
No, we don't get extras. We drink extras.
Yeah. So, sure, here's our pickup of 6 bottles of wine. And, oh, let's have a case of Merlot and a case of Cab Franc. And, yeah.
Though,
Good.
where were we last night? We were at
Sharrett
Winery
Winery.
having dinner and then going to a drag show in Hamilton, of all places.
And what did we do last night? We brought home another bottle of wine.
Yes, and another bottle of wine.
That we'll have with our chicken dinner tonight. Red wine is good for the heart. Yes, it is, Kevin. It's good for a lot of things. Yes, it is. And we've got some pretty good red wines here now. Because we had 2 shipments that shipped and came to us, which were nice, just in time.
Red wine is for dealing with relatives.
What? Oh, so...
Red wine is for dealing with relatives.
So you have to deal with me, is that it? Is that what you're saying?
You're not a relative, you're my husband.
Oh, you still have to deal with me though, so. And you know, we're a little behind on our wine advent calendar because we've been on the go for like the past.
All right,
3
tell
days.
Matt where we were.
Who did you see at the drag show? So we were at this place in Hamilton, New Jersey called the Cathedral, and that's where Phil works. We saw Ginger Minge and her crew. It was a musical Christmas show, the Golden Gals Christmas special. So they basically recreated a lot of the Golden Girls Christmas episodes, and they strung them together in a loose story, and they added music, and they tweaked some of the jokes, and added lyrics to a lot of the songs.
It was fun.
It was fun. A week before, we saw Jinx Monsoon and Bendel La Creme over in Philly for their Christmas show, and that was beyond fabulous.
At the Fillmore, which is an amazing place.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to see a show at the Fillmore and you book tickets, make sure you get a table rather than chairs because they have an amazing food and bar service.
Yep.
And it's an all-night party. Kevin's right here. Watch this.
Wine is not strong enough for relatives. Well, that's why we have a couple of new ryes around here, too.
That's why he keeps drinking double black when we go over.
Yeah. We don't have a double black right now. We have a couple new ryes that we have. All right. What else we got?
This looks like it's wrapping up our Facebook questions.
Oh, we're almost there, aren't we?
Yeah, we're almost there.
Oh, time goes so fast. I love these live streams.
Because you were talking.
That's what I'm supposed to do. It's my job. So what are you doing for New Year's? Well, we're going to be heading out to Long Island with our friends Lance and Ken. And I know Lance is planning a dinner with a bunch of people. I don't know what night. Probably New Year's Eve, I guess. And then New Year's Day, we have reservations at several of our wineries. So it should be a fun time. Albeit expensive, but fun.
All right, people. We got 15 of you in chat. Tell us what you're doing. Don't let the Facebook people outdo you.
Yeah, like how's everyone doing with their Christmas shopping? We are almost done. I still have to shop for him, but we're getting there. We did
I'm
a lot of it
done,
yesterday.
but I have to do the worst part. I have to wrap.
Squish, 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 squish.
We know this one.
I am good with rye.
No, you're not good. You just drink it.
Wow. Damn, dear. It's our child.
Doesn't mean I can't be bitchy.
And you wonder where he gets it from.
Yeah, well, insanity is hereditary. You know that.
And you wonder where his daughter gets it from. It's all you, dear.
Let me just skip back. I think I missed a few in chat from a while back. I did, from Suzanne.
We were Christmas Eve tree people. Nice. That's awesome. I could never wait. I love putting the tree up early as we can. And that way I take my time decorating it. But it's been up, like I said, since Thanksgiving. Actually, I think we put up a little before Thanksgiving this year, didn't we? Just to get it up out of the basement. And
Yeah, because I had to do some,
yeah.
Cats and trees. I had to do some surgery on the electric wires.
Yeah, we switched to the artificial tree about 3 years ago because Phil's one of those people that he has to wrap the trunk and out each branch and back and then the next branch out. And it would take him hours and hours, and there was a lot of cursing, and he'd get all scratched up and bitch and complain about it. So we said, let's just get an artificial tree that's pre-lit. So we did.
Oh, Melissa must have missed that. Did we get to see your baked shortbread?
Oh,
Hold on, hands.
here it is. Minus the piece we ate.
Pull a piece up and show it off.
And this is the color you want. And that's what it's supposed to look like inside. It's very tender. And it's a pale golden. So that's what you're looking for.
It should not be brown edge to edge, and the inside center should appear like it's not cooked.
Well, not quite, dear. This is cooked perfectly the way this is. Sometimes the center will appear that it's not, and you can just let it go in the oven for a couple more minutes. But keep in mind, too, it will keep cooking while it cools in the pan. Whether you're using a mold like mine or even a pie dish or whatever, it will keep cooking. But yeah, just like I say, I start checking it at 30 minutes to make sure. But even with me, you know what? Sometimes they just don't want to cook. So off the roads filled with amateur drivers. Yeah, a lot of time we do too. I think actually we're going up to New York before New Year's Eve, and like we won't leave their house New Year's Eve. We'll just
No,
stay
and
there.
actually here in this area, the amateur drivers are when it snows. This is southern New Jersey, so they do not get much snow down here in Philadelphia. I was raised in North Jersey and southern New York where, 3 feet, you think about canceling snow, where everywhere else there's an inch on the ground and then you have to do it. Yeah, I drive back from work and watch all the cars in the ditches because I've got 4-wheel. I can do 70 miles an hour.
We used to get more snow deer. When I was growing up, we got a lot more snow. Which is why I know how to drive in the snow. But you're right. A lot of the younger people, especially, I've got four-wheel drive. I've got a pick-em-up truck. Okay.
All right, let's see here.
So where are we at?
We are at that
132.
time. So let's, hold on, let me just check everywhere first. All right, so we're caught up on YouTube. We're Facebook just, why do you do that, Facebook? They always end our thing early.
Well, we're late. It's 1:32, so.
Oh, excuse me. All right, so let's tell them about what we're working on next, our plans for taking off, and our live stream and its change.
Okay, I didn't really think of any of that. I know our plan today, the plan is that we are supposed to film some more episodes after this live stream. So, for example, we have up, and I hope we can get at least this one done today and get it out for Tuesday. I'm making a deviled crab. Now, this is, you might think it's like a dip, but it's not. Think like lobster thermidor. It is a great first course for, say, a Christmas dinner. It's rich and indulgent and luscious, and you can only eat a small little bit of it because it's just so wonderful. It would be great for Christmas Eve if you're doing the Feast of Seven Fishes. I know that's not traditional. So hopefully we can get that done today. Should I tell about the new series or talk about our new schedule?
Yes,
first?
talk about the schedule first.
Okay, so, life is going on. We're still going to be doing all of our episodes on Tuesdays and Fridays. We will be doing the live streams still every other Sunday, but a new time, 3:30 p.m. What's it called? Eastern something?
Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, you have some other name for it. But anyway, 3:30 in the afternoon here, Eastern Standard Time. And we'll send out and post all that information so that you can all in your other time zones will know. But we're moving that because our people in the UK, it'll be easier for them to watch. All of our friends out on the West Coast who are behind us in the time zones, it'd probably be easier for them to watch it in the afternoons. And I think it'll be easier for us because that gives us more time to prepare for it.
And also, we won't have to drag this equipment up to our campground every weekend and do it up there. We can just leave early in the morning and get home to do it.
Right.
But our biggest shift is our California audience because it's 9:30 in the morning for them, or they're heading to church. And many of them have said they'd love to be in chat, but it's already done by the. And for our UK audience, it's dinner time for them at 6 o'clock. Yeah. So now they can have a pint, as our friends say over there, and then watch us and chat. So we hope we'll get a few more people. Though we had 19 people in chat at one point here today, so that's great.
And I'm so happy that Matthew made it.
Speaking of that.
Yes. Merry Christmas. We miss you too, Matthew. But no Phil and Dixie.
No Phil and Dixie this week.
That's too bad. But Matthew was here. So Matthew's representing that area. We miss you too, Matthew. We will be seeing you soon, I'm sure. So we're also introducing a new series. What we're calling it, Take the Mystery Out of, or something like that.
That's it.
Oh, okay, so it's called Take the Mystery Out of ... Similar to our basic skills, which we will continue, but we're going to explore some specific things. Oh, we are here. Yay, Dixie and Phil. Yay, I'm glad you're here. Merry Christmas, boys. So we're going to be exploring some really interesting things, but take the mystery out of ... Like, take the mystery out of baking bread. Take the mystery out of whatever. It's just a little way to focus in on some specific skills.
And we will probably do that as live streams. I don't think we'll do that as a Friday series, as much as we are still struggling sometimes to come up with basics. The basic skills episodes are still really popular. Right now, our basic skills on how to use a mandolin safely is one of our huge ones.
Yeah.
Though I think it's ironic for the season that obviously that Scottish Shortbread is our #1 episode, but the #2 episode is how to make rum balls.
Well, I fail to see the problem with that, dear. Rum balls are delicious.
I didn't say it was a problem. I'm just stating a fact.
But they're very Christmassy and they're delicious, more importantly.
All right, let's wrap this puppy up so people can go home on the West Coast and everyone else can get along, and we can then take a break and turn on cameras again.
Yeah. We see that, and then he's going to go, you look kind of tired. Why don't we take the afternoon off? We'll film tomorrow night after work. Stay safe, everyone. Happy holidays. Yes, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, because it's not just Christmas, it's Hanukkah and a bunch of other holidays too. So whatever you celebrate, happy holidays to you. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you live again in January. Meantime, send us questions, comments, what you would like to see at info@letscelebrate.tv. And check out our website too, letscelebrate.tv. Right?
Yep.
All right. Till
We'll
next
be in chat
time.
for another minute or so if you've got any more questions.
All right. Cheers, everyone.